or any forms of MMA is kind of like not the best idea?
I think it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's help me out. It's not
Recommended?
no crap.
Encouraged? Oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, I hate to be your editor.
I am my own editor.
It's the warning, like you see it not seen on TV, like that type of stuff.
Disclaimer?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's sort of like a negative disclaimer, if you will, because they see that and they're like, oh, I'll take a class and I'll be Tito Ortiz or Rampage.
Right.
And they want to come in and beat the living you-know-what out of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they go in and their sensei or Sabanim or whatever says, okay, no, here's a white belt. So it's sort of polar opposites, if you will.
Right, you see it and you think that you're such a visual learner that you're like, oh, I've seen all this crap on TV. I'm good, I'm better than half these guys. But no, you actually have to get to the basics and learn the basics first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always fun.
So that was the long way of saying what I wanted to say.
Right, because for those people who don't know Andrew outside of where we went to school, Andrew has done self-defense seminars for various people, and he teaches basic self-defense techniques. So I've seen him do basic stuff. I have watched him do patterns, which, by the way, is awesome. Andrew has sparred. I've never seen him in a sparring match, but because that was long before I ever met him. But I've seen different sides of him and how he teaches. So, like, when you're as advanced as you are, do you have difficulty kind of breaking it down for people that don't necessarily understand? Because I know from watching The Ultimate Fighter, there might be some difficulty in trying to get something as basic as possible for people to understand if they're not catching on to it right away.
Well, teaching kids helps that a lot.
Right.
You learn patience very quickly.
Right. But when it comes to, adults, it's like teaching an old dog.
And I meant that in what I said in the adult sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, the saying amongst the instructors in the organization that I used to belong to, I won't name names, is if you can teach the little tigers, you can teach anybody.
Right.
And it's really true.
Right, yeah, because if you can make it basic for them,
you can make it basic for anybody.
And then I break your arm.
Ow.
Yeah, true story. A couple weeks ago, he held a self-defense seminar, and someone put a vine of it, and my brain went back to, I think it was about 2 years ago, because I was still in school, and you were doing a program, and I had to defend myself on the floor, and I had to put you, what?
Yeah, like one person showed up to that.
No, like 5 or 6. Don't sell yourself short there, Andrew. But I defended myself, and I had to put him in an arm bar. And then to add leverage, you can lift your hips up and whatever. So I did that again a few weeks ago, and I accidentally kicked Andrew in the face. He was like, oh, my nose, and you were being a total diva about it, but I let it go.
And going back to, I think, sort of your question about teaching and do I have to switch it up?
Mm-hmm.
When I do the seminars and the programs for, like, the colleges,
mm-hmm.
I almost approach it as an MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I sort of have to, because I can't go in a room with people who have never taken a class and say, okay, here's a white belt.
Right.
I'm going to teach you everything I know in an hour.
So basically, like, regardless of what level they are, you have to, like, assume everyone is stupid, in a way, for the lack of a better word.
Yes.
It's like SpongeBob. I have no talent.
and some of the seminars that I've done, the person running it, or whatever you want to call it, has come to me and says, okay, this is sort of what I want you to go over.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tailor what I was going to do with what the guy wants.
Right.
Because I gotta get paid.
But, like, when you teach, you know, seminars like that, do you still try to instill specific, you know, spiritual aspects and not so much religious aspects, but, like, historical things within it?
It depends, really.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in, like, a college dorm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really going to explain that this was made in Korea and this.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in sort of a more professional type of a setting,
Mm-hmm.
I may include more of those tidbits, if you will.
Right. Because I think that's what gets lost often in translation when someone actually does pick up a, you know, an art or a sport. They don't really look into the history of it. They just do it just for the sake of doing it, just to get into shape, so on and so forth. No one really looks deep into it. And, I mean, I think that's what happens with a lot of people who are into MMA. You know, there are people that just do it just to, you know, bet money on a Saturday night. I mean, UFC 168 is coming up. Someone's probably going to be putting money on Ronda Rousey within the next 2 weeks. Like, they don't really think much into, you know, the preparations and, you know, how they train, how they go about it, what they get out of it.
Now, granted, I'm sort of talking relatively bad about it, but make no mistake that those men and women are absolute freaks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to diminish their athletic ability or their talent.
Mm-hmm. But you sometimes wonder, like, where they started, how they got there. You know, like...
Well, sorry to sort of go back a little.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Without getting too long-winded.
That's your middle name, but anyway.
This is where you say this is what you've done the whole time. In the ITF version of Taekwondo, there are these things called patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And each pattern has a name.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the names of those patterns are based off of Korean monks, Korean patriots, Korean this, Korean that. And one of them, Poyom, is the name of the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And the meaning of that is, I will not serve another master but be crucified 1,000 times.
Hmm.
And that's sort of the trademark stamp, if you will.
Right.
And because a lot of people that I know that take it as seriously as I do consider that to be, I will not do another art.
Mm-hmm.
But rather be crucified 1,000 times.
Right. And people just, you know, watch it on YouTube and go, I'm just going to do it, and not know the significance behind it.
Yeah. I'll never forget in a history class, we were talking about one yo, which is another pattern. I'm like, wait a minute.
Funny how things show up like that.
But yeah, so sort of going back a little, I thought that was something relatively important to bring up.
Oh yeah, and I'm so glad you did, because that's, you know, that was kind of the point that I was getting toward. Like, there are people that will train, but at the same time they'll do these things and, you know, there really is no explanation as to what it is, where it came from, and why it's important.
And a lot martial art aficionados, we were talking about Bruce Lee earlier, consider Bruce Lee to be the original MMA.
Because he's awesome. But that's just me. Editorial.
Agreed. But the art that he created, Jeet Kune Do, was sort of, to many people, the precursor to what MMA is today.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually was more steadfast in his opposition of the traditional styles.
Which I find really crazy because there's so much history behind them.
And he wasn't denying the history, he was denying the practicality.
I see. That makes sense.
And that's where MMA sort of came from, was from a practicality standpoint.
But do you think, you practicing Taekwondo, do you think it's becoming too diverse? Do you think it's just going to be a whole bunch of arts just, melded into one at one point? Or do you think it already is that way?
One more time?
Because
that was a very good question.
Well, because I'll bring up an example, like judo, for instance. Judo, originating in Japan, is more of a grapple defense-based art. And from that, basically, a child of judo is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
So, do you think that, all the major art forms like Taekwondo, Judo, Kempo, I guess, is another one. Do you think they're all just, trickling down into one big, massive art, and there isn't going to be any basic father forms at one point?
Not bad.
Well, I'm asking you because, you practice it.
I guess the reason why I'm so speechless is I've never really thought of it in that way.
Yeah, philosophy. And,
yeah, which is why I'm saying very
because I think that's where UFC is getting a lot of its attention and strength, because you have a lot of guys in there now. Sure, they know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they know a lot of different martial arts styles, but they also adapt from other styles as well, like Taekwondo, like Kempo, like what the heck is it called, Shotokan, different kinds of karate in a way. It seems as if there isn't going to be one specific form anymore. It's just going to be a hodgepodge of different styles. It's do whatever the heck you want to do because it works.
In however long I've known you, I think that's probably the best question you've ever asked.
Instead of, what can you cook? Okay, whatever.
Well, that too. But, okay, I'm gonna try this.
Alright, I'm dying to hear an answer.
Okay. My opinion on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the Judo is they were both already very grappling based.
Right.
So that's sort of not so hard to see.
Right, but when it comes to, because I know at some point you had told me in Taekwondo you guys were trying to learn certain like grapples and chokes.
Mm-hmm.
I can be quoted on that. But
I forget the exact, but yeah.
But because you're incorporating that, doesn't that mean like you're kind of creating your own style? It's like a marriage of the two.
And that was probably going to be the way I was going to go with it too.
Okay.
Ironically enough.
Okay, it's like a family tree. It just keeps,
Not so much like the thing on Doctor Who that absorbed everything. Oh my god, I just said that.
Yeah, you did, and some people aren't going to understand that, so you have to find another way to describe it.
Okay. But it's not going to just be one melded into one.
Right.
I think there's going to be a lot of marriages between different arts.
Like funneling in a way?
Yes, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not going to be, okay, let's throw Kempo, Shotokan, Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu all into a pot and let's see what comes out.
Yeah, it's like a gradual process.
I think, if they say, okay, let's take elements of Kempo and Shotokan and see what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very pair-based idea.
Right. It's like you can't throw 3 into 1. It's like you have to add a little salt into the mixture. Don't put too much in because you can't take it out.
Well, when one martial art loves another, they make a baby.
Blah, blah, blah. Baby making. But, yeah, I mean...
I guess that's my best shot at that.
Okay. Well, that was fair enough. I mean, we got through that one together, so...
Well, like I said, it was a very, very good question, and it stumped me.
Yeah! I'm awesome! Anyway. But, well, thank you so much, Andrew, for all of your help with this, and I highly appreciate you... Yeah, I guess you can say that I'm trying to exit this, and you're like, we're done?
Sorry.
This is what happens when it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and I call Andrew and go, hey, I have an idea, can we Skype call this? And, because I had a feeling if we did this any later, then I would not have wanted to go through with it. So this is why I did this now, and I thank you so much for sticking with me and doing this for me. So
always have, always will.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I will sign off here. Thank you guys for listening. If you listen to the whole thing, good for you. Don't forget to check out. Shuddy. Don't forget to check out the Sports Nut blogs, sportsnutblogs.blogspot.com. You can also find me on Twitter at sportsnutblogs. It's also on Facebook. You can also find me on Tumblr as well. And you can also find a whole bunch of different links in the Contact Me. If you have any suggestions on any of these other talks, you can do so. I am totally open for ideas, believe me. So on that note, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys for listening again, and keep reading.